Thank you so much for inviting me to share what has been quite a journey over the last 3.5 years building hafnar.haus. It's really nice to see how the city of Toronto is approaching this with putting so much care into thinking this through and having conversations like this one. Also, thank you so much, Olga, for sharing your experience. It's nice to see, the perspective of other practitioners. So like Erika mentioned, I work within a laboratory called East of Moon. We do community-centered innovation. And over the last 3.5 years, up until recently, I have actually recently retired from this project and passed the torch on. I was one of the hosts, as we call it, one of the people leading the development of hafnar.haus. This is a space in downtown Reykjavik. It started with the one on the left, and then recently we added an entire building to that. So just to give you a little bit of an understanding of what the setup is like, this is the hafnar.haus, the building on the left, is owned by the city of Reykjavik. There are future plans for this building, but those plans will take a lot of time and are pending funding and so forth. So for a few years at least, this organization, hafnar.haus, was a private non-profit, rents this from the city of Reykjavik and rents it out to creative people in the creative sectors, artists, designers, games developers, filmmakers, and so forth. And in an Icelandic or Reykjavik context, it's a fairly big operation. I think Reykjavik is 4% of the population of Toronto for scale, and it's 65,000 square feet. It has 400 people who use this as their workspace, some 160 private studios, but we also have open spaces like hot seating, co-working style areas. And it's both a workspace, but it also serves quite a deep community function. It's a space to show art, to perform, to have events. There is a co-created artist-run gallery there. Every single day, every single weekday, there is lunch is being served that people participate in making. It's a space where people who are new in town celebrate Christmas Eve, children's birthdays, and so forth. And I sort of wanted to, there's so many things that I could share with you, and hopefully I will get a chance to do that in depth at some point. But to simplify a little bit kind of the main takeaways from these 3.5 years, I also want to say, I've not been into this particular property that we are talking about today, and I wouldn't want to prescribe, but rather this is more a kind of a simplified version of kind of our main takeaways from my main takeaways from this experience. That is to think about imperfect spaces as a kind of a way to approach artist spaces. Artists being people who for whom it is natural to have an influence on the environment around them, and on some level this comes out of ideology, but also, to be totally fair, out of real circumstances. We were and are a small non-profit organization with not a huge amount of resources, a huge building and a community of 400 people, and we had to find a way to kind of make that building come alive, to use it to the best potential it had. And we also are very much in a carpe diem situation, because we don't have the luxury that whoever is going to use this building that we're talking about today has. That we don't have 20-year or 10-year agreements. we sort of could be kicked out of on any given moment. So we need to kind of approach it from that point of view. So to start to explain what I mean by imperfect spaces, I thought I'd start to maybe think about what might a perfect space be. And I didn't want to pick any real space, so I think this is a justified use for artificial intelligence to make a straw man space to kind of pick on. But I have been into shared workspaces where a lot of money has gone into, a lot of design. Some of them look beautiful. One of them particularly went into, had this kind of amazing, what you would imagine as like Scandinavian architecture, raw concrete, mossy green designs through it. And everything thought through meticulously. And I remember speaking to one of the users of the space, and I said, this is really a perfect space, isn't it? And they said, yeah, it's beautiful. And then there was kind of a pause, and then it was like a but. And then you'd start to talk about it, and it emerges that the air conditioning of the space is so perfect that you're not really able to open the windows because that would ruin it. So the users can't open or close the windows if they feel hot or not. Similarly, the space had been, every single meter of the space had been thought through, except there was no coat hanger. So if they had events, they never knew where to put the coats, and they couldn't really do anything about it. And if they wanted to advertise something to the community, because the space was so beautiful, they weren't really allowed to put posters anywhere because that would ruin the style. And I think this is while perfect spaces can be truly beautiful and really functional in some way, what characterizes them is that they are finished. You don't have a role in the space. If you change something, you are ruining it. So in some way you step into something that doesn't require you as a creator, as a participant. I'm saying this, of course, because we would never have budgets to make anything this beautiful, so I'm finding a way to justify that. So rather, I started to think about what are imperfect spaces like, and I as I saw people starting to use the space and make it their own, I noticed that when paint was peeling from the walls, it was turned into a picture of a dog. And to the right, you see there's a coat hanger there that nobody's using, and somebody turned it into a free stuff exchange, which is kind of the epicenter of Hafnar.haus, the fashion. People can come and exchange their clothes. And 3 years later, I still don't know who started it or really who maintains it. It's just kind of something that someone does. And it's a lot of fun. I came home once with a jacket that somebody's Estonian grandmother had left there. And so it is one of the kind of small examples of how the users have started to use the space and do things. And they can't do it because it is not a perfect space. They can't do it because there is an invitation to step into it and be a participant. And I don't want to imply that this is always easy or a rosy feeling. Sometimes you come into the lobby and you see that it's been filled up with wooden pallets, which is really annoying. And then not often, but it does happen that people leave dirty cups in one of the sinks. I truly believe that this might be one of those last problems that humanity will ever solve. Wherever people come together, there's going to be dirty cups in the sink, and it's annoying that people are doing that. But maybe you've seen this meme, being annoyed is the price we pay for community. And honestly, sometimes the people who get all worked up about dirty cups in the dishes, in the sink, sometimes these people actually cause more harm than the people leaving the cups themselves. I'm not saying either is great, but you also want to create an atmosphere where there is a certain tolerance and understanding that if you have 400 people, and if only 1 out of 100 leaves 1 cup per day, or 2 pallets of wood per day, things get filled up. And it is the price we pay for being together. And so, to some extent, what we have tried to celebrate is that message, which I also saw in the hallways of Hafnarhaus, that please disturb, the invitation to have an effect on your space, to have your own ownership of co-creating it. And wonderful things have emerged. People have taken it upon themselves to create a gallery. People have joined together to do their tax returns together. All kinds of things come to life because people feel a permission to do things which they might not feel if everything would have been perfectly created. And sometimes you see nicer examples of that, not just like the dirty cups. I felt a certain accomplishment when I saw that some people had started to write on their personal belongings, you are welcome to use this when I'm not around. Please, this is mine, but you can use it. And that is a kind of an attitude of sharing, of being a community that we kind of have been trying to cultivate in Hafnarhaus. I thought it was interesting listening to Olga that she talked about Slack channels and the digital layer that you have to have on communities as well. And we have also experimented with this in Hafnarhaus. And part of what we did was we created our own social network, so to speak, like a homemade version of Facebook. Somebody described it, which is very much something that tries to, not sell you ads for, losing weight or whatever it is that you see on Facebook, but something that really encourages people to come together to share. It functions on 2 levels. It allows you to book meeting rooms or shared photo studios or something like that. But it is also a kind of a social glue. I think there is around 700 or 800 people on it now. And it also kind of has specific functions, very much encouraging people to come together, to share their ideas, to connect. So you'll see on the extreme left, there's a discussion around turning a specific space into a book workplace that somebody kind of throws out there, and then there's a conversation around that, and then things happen in a transparent way. There is a discussion about how to improve the care of the space, the dirty cups and things like that. And there are initiatives like the choir for people who don't know how to sing. This is my favorite one. I didn't even dare to go on this one. I'm so shy about singing, but I really admired people who did that. In a very simple way, to be a bit abstract and maybe a bit maximalist. The extreme version of what we have tried to do and I have tried to formulate for you is sort of a space in which the designer and the manager and the user, these 2 modalities have a difficult time understanding who is which. The designer and the user in some way aren't able to tell each other apart. That is kind of the co-creative space that we have been trying to create. And it's not always easy. It can be messy. It requires a certain type of ethics, I think. You understand when you walk into a cafe what is expected of you, what is the social contract. You pay a certain amount of money and you get a bagel and a cafe, and you can sit there for a certain amount of time. With a co-created space, the social contract of what is allowed and what is expected of you and who does what is sort of always being negotiated. And I think that it's healthy as designers and managers of spaces to understand, at least this is my attitude and our attitude, that the space is not the end result. It's not how it looks on Instagram. It's not some sort of a wow factor of the space. The space is an object to invite for a community to come together. And when things happen that you had nothing to do with, when something you could never have imagined yourself, that in your wildest imagination you could not have seen coming, that is a definition of success. And so I think in public administration and in a lot of administration, we are often sort of pushed and forced into kind of explaining, like, what is the end result of this? Is this going well? What are the KPIs or the metrics? Or, tell me what is the objective of all of this. And this goes very much counter to that kind of allowing for things to emerge. Creating a box for people to step into and create something. And often it requires a different type of courage, I think, to sort of trust that something will come out of it. It might not have something that you made in Illustrator or defined specifically in a policy document or a report, but it will be something that you could never have imagined. That's what we're trying to do. I'm super excited to hear what emerges in Toronto. And I know I didn't say a lot of practical stuff. I can also talk about that. And I'm basically available for any questions or future conversations about this.